Okay, what I would like to show you next is how to run your YourCash auto dialer on a day-to-day basis. So what do you say now that we're up to this point? We have our voice messages recorded and our campaign set up, and you should be ready to go. So what do you say we go ahead and show you what you should be doing each and every day? So as you can see here on the screen, I am here at YourCashToolBox.net, and this is where my login. Now, if you ordered leads and messages from YourCashToolBox.com, they will send you an email out that has your login credentials for your complimentary auto dialer. So let's go ahead and log into my auto dialer using those credentials, and I'm going to click login. Now, if your auto dialer prompts you to accept a legal waiver, you will have to accept that legal waiver each time you log into YourCashToolBox.net. That is simply stating that they are not liable for the phone calls that you make, of course. So you will have to accept that waiver if you choose each time you log in, and then you will come to the Welcome to TellServer home page. Now, the very first thing we always want to do every day is go up to Setup and down to Campaign, and we're going to click this. That's going to bring us to our campaign setup for. Now, of course, this is going to have your name in here if this is your auto dialer. So this is your campaign. As you can see here, a large green box pops up. Now, we only have one campaign and multiple schedules. So let me clarify that just a little bit. You'll have one campaign, and it can be named anything. The name really doesn't matter. Your campaign can be my one and only campaign, or my cash gifting campaign, or my everyday campaign is what I have mine labeled here. Now, whatever it is labeled, you'll only have one campaign but multiple days that you'll run that one campaign. So with that said, the very first thing when we come over to the campaign box is to click on this Schedules tab. Now, of course, if you ordered leads and voice packages from YourCashToolBox.com, they will set up all of your campaign for you. So if that is the case, we are up to this point. Well, we don't have a schedule set up yet because this part is actually up to you. Now, let's go on in. Since we have no schedules down here, we just have a big red X. We're going to come right over and we are going to add our very first schedule. Now, as you can see, a schedule box pops up here, and it has my name in here and the date, and all the rest of the blocks all the way down are empty. So if this is your first schedule to set up, let's set your very first one up. Okay, let's start with the day you want to start calling. Now let's say that that is tomorrow's date, so I'm just going to type in tomorrow's date in this block. Okay, now we're going to come over to the start time. Now pay close attention here. This is in military time. Let me repeat that. This is in military time, which means 12 noon will turn into 1300 hours right after 12 noon. So the clock will come around as 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning, all the way up to 12 noon, and then it will turn to 1300 hours for 1 o'clock and 1400 hours for 2 o'clock, and so forth. So pay close attention to that when you adjust your times. Now, I recommend that we start your dialer at, and remember, this is always Pacific time that you're entering here. We start your auto dialer at 0900 hours, which is 09 semicolon 00. Now let's go down to the next block and take a look here. Look at the schedule here. This is the start time in Pacific is 9, but look at the chart over here and see what time that is for you. If you're in the Pacific Coast, then it is 9 o'clock in the morning. If you're over on the East Coast, that means your auto dialer isn't going to start running until 12 o'clock for you. Well, do not back this number up any further past 9 o'clock in the morning, because guess what? If you're on the East Coast and you want your auto dialer to start calling at 9 o'clock in the morning, well, unfortunately, that's going to catch the Pacific Coast at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you certainly do not want to catch people at 6 o'clock for your opportunity in the morning. They're not going to be very happy with you. So let's go ahead and set our first number at 0900 hours, and let's go ahead and set our second number for 11 o'clock in the morning and see what happens. Okay, let's look at our chart here. If you're on the East Coast, that's going to stop at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, you can back this up just a little to 10 o'clock. You may even take it on up to 12 o'clock. You may decide that, let's say you're on the East Coast and you don't get off work until 3 or 4 in the afternoon, then go ahead and move your auto dialer up just a little so that your prospects are more fresh to the message that they just heard. So, with that, let's go ahead and play with those numbers just a little bit. Let's say you want your auto dialer to call just a little later in the day. I advise you don't make it too late, but let's go ahead and start that at 11 o'clock in the morning for the Pacific Coast. And let's take that on up to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, this is military time, so make sure you put in, for 1 o'clock, you would put in 1300 hours. Now, let's take a look at what we have. This is going to call on the East Coast from 2 to 4. And on the Pacific Coast, that's going to be 11 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon. This gives you a general idea of how you would want to run each day. So let's go ahead and move on down. Okay, let's keep looking down the schedule box here and see what we have. The next block is priority. Leave that at 5 normal. Dial rate type, leave that at finish on time. Dial rate amount, make this 1. Agents 10. Phone number entries. This is the amount of phone calls you want it to call today. So pay close attention here. Do you want to call 500 people, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000? Well, the industry standard is 1,500 for you starting off. 1,500 leads called will produce you a good little handful of phone calls to return later that afternoon. So we'll go over that in one of the future videos, but I recommend that if you're just getting started off, go ahead and start with 1,500. That will give you enough phone calls to keep you busy for an hour or so in the afternoon. So let's go ahead and do 1,500 there. Response stop count, leave that at 0. Redial, select redial once. Redial delay, leave that at 30 minutes. Redial filter, uncheck no answer and leave busy checked off. Now, here's an option. This is completely up to you. Our next block is called repeat. What we are telling our auto dialer to do right now is to call on the date that we set up above, and to call between the particular times we set up and how many phone number entries we told it. But we did not tell it yet to do that every day that we wanted to call. So, completely optional here, but you can select repeat, and then you can select days of the week that you want your auto dialer to call. Now, let me give you a few facts here. The best day for your auto dialer to call is always Thursday. The next 2 days are Wednesday and Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are the best days for your auto dialer to run. Surveys and studies have said more people respond to these 3 days than any other day of the week. Now, through the week, Monday is an okay day to call, but not as good as Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I recommend that you keep Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday going. Now, let me give you a small warning here with the repeat button. This auto dialer is going to repeat every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of the week until it A, runs out of leads that you have bought and loaded into it, or option B, it's going to run out of prepaid minutes, if you will, and it's just going to, let's just say the gas tank will run dry. When it runs out of either minutes or leads, the auto dialer will stop if you have the repeat section. Now, another warning here. If you set the repeat, you must be ready to respond to the responses this thing is going to deliver on these 3 days. And what I mean by this is, if you are not available one particular day and your auto dialer ran, then you have, well, almost wasted those leads that your auto dialer called that day. You must return the interested people's phone calls, because in most cases your opportunity will not work if you don't return those few phone calls every afternoon. The auto dialer cannot bring cash gifts in by itself. It only helps you filter out large crowds of people down to small handfuls of truly interested people. That's its only job. Yes, your messages will give out your website address, but if you don't return the phone calls on the day, the exact day, usually within minutes, that someone responds to your auto dialer, you are wasting your time. So be careful. Do not check the repeat button if you have a chance that you may not be able to work on a particular day that it doesn't go. If that's the case, simply click uncheck, repeat, and come in here every morning and tell your auto dialer to run just like we are now. Okay? Okay, moving on down. Inbound, leave it unchecked. Active, go ahead and check it off. Now, one thing to advise you here, if this is your first time to run the auto dialer and you have just purchased leads, come right over here and you will see a list called Attached Phone Lists. If you have a green box that has popped up right here, these are the leads that you have purchased from YourCash ToolBox, and they are here waiting on you to attach to this particular schedule. So click the add button as many times as it takes. Now, as you can see, for demonstration purposes only, I only have one lead. If you bought a package of 4,000, 6,000, or 10,000, whatever package you bought, it's going to be sitting here ready for you to attach it to this particular schedule. So with that said, you could have multiple add buttons. Keep hitting the add button and you will see it putting the phone lists in here. Now, the reason it's done this is because you will notice it breaks your leads down by time zone. So you're likely to hit that add button 4, sometimes 5 times all the way through. So please keep that in mind. Now, as soon as you have added all your leads, which you only do that, by the way, one time when you buy a fresh set of leads, then you're going to come down and you're going to click the Save button right here. Now, when you click it, please make sure that it grays out and it's not clickable even anymore. Keep in mind that if you don't have this saved, it's not going to go anywhere. So make sure that it is 100% completely saved. Now, what do you say we start the next part of our video, and let me show you, now that we've came in here the very first time to our auto dialer, let me show you how to do this on a quick day-to-day basis if you did not check the repeat function down here. You can easily come back in here and copy this schedule and have it ready to go the next day very quickly. So let's cover that next. Okay, let's pretend like this is the next morning or that afternoon, even after you finished your auto dialer. We have logged back into YourCashToolBox.net, and let's just say that we want to set it up for the next day of auto dialing manually. Okay, let's go right on over to Setup and down to Campaign. Now you'll notice our same campaign box pops up, but now let's go back over to Schedules one more time, because remember, we'll have multiple schedules but only one campaign. Come over to Schedules. Alright, notice how the day before seems to pop up right here on top. Now, the more you run your auto dialer, you will notice this list getting longer and longer and longer, and that's fine. That tells you all the days you ran, the times you ran, and how many phone entries you actually called that particular day. Now, let me show you a small trick. We could come up here and add a schedule again, but it would be much easier if we opened the last day that we ran, and you'll always know the last day because it's the previous day's date. It's always easiest if we open the last day we ran with this little yellow pencil. So I want you to take your mouse and click on, we're going to pretend it was yesterday's auto dialing event, and we're going to click on the yellow pencil. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that yesterday's date, we're pretending here, pops up in the date section. And of course, this schedule has already ran from the day before. But instead of having to go back and manually enter all of this, here's why we did this. Come right over here to the copy icon located right on top of the green schedule box and click on copy. Now the first thing you're going to notice is it copied your entire schedule all the way down, and now you're able to just change the date to today's date. Understand? Now the start time and end time stays the same. You can now modify these if you wish. Come right on down. If you want to do a different amount of phone calls for the day, you can do so now. Come right on down to the bottom, click on active and save. And once again, make sure that you save out the button. Make sure it's grayed out and you can no longer click it anymore. This assures you that your auto dialer is saved and it will run out on the date that you told it to. Okay, so just to recap, what we've gone over so far is I've showed you how to go in and set up your schedule for the very first time. And in the second portion, I showed you how to go in there manually each and every morning if you don't choose the repeat function, and just have the auto dialer set up and copy exactly what the previous day's auto dialing was, just for speed's sake. You can be in and out of your auto dialer and have it going within just a matter of 3 to 4 minutes. Very, very fast process to tell it to go on the day you want it to manually call. Okay, let me show you some don'ts real quick. This is very, very common with this auto dialer. Let me show you a don't. Okay, we have logged back into our YourCash auto dialer, and I want to warn you about something. Come right on up to Setup and down to Campaign like you always will to tell your auto dialer to go. Going to click on that. You're going to see it brings up my setup, my campaign setup here, and then of course the name. This would be your name. Now come on down here. One of the things that's going to catch you off guard is notice that I am in my campaign. Remember, I'm in my campaign, not my schedules yet. Take a look at this button right here. Copy. Notice that this is the same copy button that was in our schedules tab. Let me show you right quick. Keep in mind, we're in the campaign. We only have one campaign and multiple daily schedules. So let's click on schedules. Let's click on our previous day's schedule that I showed you how to copy. Now this is where we would go in and we would click the copy button. And we would simply go in and change the date, remember, and tell it to go active and save it. This is what we're doing from day to day, right? Well, here's a caution. Let's go back over to the campaign. If you accidentally click the copy button on the campaign, not the schedule, guess what happens? You will click copy and you'll actually copy another campaign. And this is not what you want to do. In the event that you accidentally create an additional campaign, look over to the left hand side of your screen. You'll see the campaign that you named, or that YourCash ToolBox set up and possibly named for you. You'll see it with a -1 beside it. Now if you know this is the wrong campaign, it will have the -1 beside it. You can simply correct your problem by clicking active, uncheck the active box, and come all the way down to the bottom of the campaign and click save. And make sure it saves to make sure it's grayed out. Now this small mistake that we made by going to the campaign section and accidentally clicking copy a campaign instead of copying a schedule here is something that happens very, very commonly. So I just showed you how to go back and fix that. Now notice when we go back to the campaign section again, I'm going to go up to Setup and click on Campaign again. And since we made that other one inactive by unchecking it and saving it, our normal everyday campaign, or my one and only campaign, whatever it is that yours is named, is the only one here. Now to, of course, do this correctly, let me show you one more time. Come on over to Schedules. Come right on over to the previous day, which is always on top, and click on the little yellow pencil on the one on top. Now, keep in mind, we're not in the campaign section anymore. Now we're in the day-to-day schedules. As long as you are in the day-to-day schedules, you can now click the copy button and tell it to go on the next day. Okay, this gives you a great idea and concludes our section for running your YourCash auto dialer on a day-to-day basis. Now the next video below is labeled running your LeadNet Pro auto dialer. If you do not have LeadNet Pro as your auto dialer, you may skip on over into the iTelecenter video next.